What do leaders do? Leaders spend their personal time and money in basic ways. From a physical and mental activities perspective, they make decisions, attend meetings, communicate direction, develop projects, travel, analyze results and trends, and hopefully they listen and give good advice. Leaders primarily work on processes and projects. So where's the waste in their work systems? Most lean improvement efforts focus on improving frontline process performance. Much less attention, if any, is devoted to taking waste out of the jobs that each leader performs themselves. For example, how much waste do your meetings contain? Do you measure meeting waste and have formal plans in place for increasing the amount of value meetings provide to their customers? How about your daily, if not hourly, email and text review processes? How do you measure leadership decision effectiveness and work to improve the quality and cycle time of that decision-making process? Do your leaders use trend lines to analyze process performance, both for their own jobs and for those they are responsible for? Or do they mainly rely on snapshots of company or site performance to help them make decisions about what should be done next? Leaders spend their personal time and money to improve processes through the implementation of systems-changing projects. They also perform regular processes of their own, such as selecting improvement projects, making decisions, and holding meetings to communicate changes and needs. All of these processes contain waste, just like those used on the front lines, but very few organizations are actually measuring leader performance results in these areas. Instead, we tend to measure leader performance by looking at the results their people are able to get. We assume that because the leader is responsible for these people, it is their efforts that are making the frontline processes successful or not. We don't hold our leaders to the same set of time-based expectations that we hold our frontline people to, even though their time usually costs more. Practices of exemplary leadership. The 5 practices shown in the image come from the book The Leadership Challenge by Jim Kouzes and Barry Posner. This book was written in 1990, but 30 years later, it still holds a lot of relevance and focus relative to what leaders do. They challenge the process. They encourage the heart. They inspire a shared vision. They enable others to act, and they model the way. How do you tell a good leader from one that is merely average? Making leadership distinctions requires you to first identify what traits a great leader might possess. In their book, The Leadership Challenge, Barry Kouzes and Jim Posner surveyed people to determine just that. The results of their analysis led them to define the above 5 practices of exemplary leadership, which I learned over 30 years ago, but still believe in and follow today. While there have been many books with many pages written about leadership over the years, I feel that these 5 elements sum up what we should expect from our leaders. Great leaders challenge the processes that exist in their organization. They try to make every work system better as time goes on. Great leaders seek to inspire a shared vision of a better workplace in their people, and they model the way that they would like their people to act from day to day. Perhaps most importantly, great leaders help others develop and improve by encouraging the heart. Great leaders recognize personal and team success on a daily basis, and they seek out ways to ignite intrinsic motivation in each team member. Great leaders also recognize that they can't be successful all by themselves. All leaders need to make sure that systems are in place that allow each team member to make their work processes better. In short, the daily role of a great leader involves developing people, improving systems, and creating a work environment that supports excellence on a daily basis. What practices do you look for in a great leader? Which practices do you personally use to get the most out of each of your team members? The basic job of a process owner. All leaders are process owners. The workflow on this image is representative of what leaders typically do from a macro perspective. How do you control your work processes? How do you define expectations? How do you know what to change? How do you recognize good performance? What are your positive and negative performance improvement consequences? If we wanted to construct a process flow diagram that represented the daily job of a leader, it might, or should, look something like this. From a lean thinking perspective, everything we do at work should be driven by the expectations of the customer. For leaders, that customer is often an internal customer. Internal customers include the people you supervise, the people you report to, and the people that receive the outputs of the processes you are responsible for. Each day, you execute one or more processes and/or projects in an effort to meet or exceed those expectations. As each day progresses, you should be able to gauge the degree to which you are achieving that goal by reviewing a balanced set of fact-based results. If your system is giving you the results you desire, you should recognize that good performance and work to standardize the system, reduce process variation. If you did not obtain the desired results, you should apply the defined consequences and modify the process to improve performance. The problems are simple here. We don't see the repetitive things we do as leaders as being processes. The second failure relates to not measuring the results and investments being made in those important processes. We don't know how relatively more or less value-added they are. We don't know our process waste rates, so our incentive to change goes unignited.